Explorers, welcome back to another wonderful interview in our series of getting to know the people working on our wonderful game, Adaptory. Today, we have an absolute delight getting to chat with someone that you may have met at a couple of convention booths potentially in the past, and is here to chat about some interesting things in terms of writing and narrative and various character choices going on in the game. Please welcome the wonderful Cassandra. Hello.
Hello, kia ora, everybody.
Just in case other people haven't happened to run into you at a convention already, what is it that you do as part of the Adaptory team?
My official title on Adaptory is Story Director. Basically, I'm a combo narrative designer game writer. So on Adaptory, I am responsible for basically the emotional parts of the game, I guess, making sure that you have warm, fuzzy feelings towards our explorers, that you can individuate them, and looking at the sort of general player story arc for how you're going to feel emotionally as the game goes on, how you get attached to the characters.
I love that way of phrasing it. I'm in charge of the emotional things, the things that make you feel stuff about the game. That's so great. How exactly did you get on board with the team? How did you come to be a part of working on Adaptory?
So I knew Jevin through a very different part of the world. My main kind of background is as a playwright and working in theatre and in musical theatre, and I was doing a solo show where Jevin was the drummer, and so we were hanging out during that, and Jevin was saying, I've just started working on this video game, and I'd done a little bit of text games and stuff like that. Yeah, very, very sideways entry into this project.
As you mentioned, you are a storyteller in many different formats. What is your kind of favorite thing about taking what you know about telling stories and putting that into a game format?
I really love game writing. I find like it's something that I explore more and more in my practice. The thing that I find really interesting is the ways in which player choice can kind of shape narrative, that you're kind of working with a collaborator who is the player. You're kind of creating all these different building blocks of story, and then the player's the one that is kind of collaging those together, which is like a really interesting process. I enjoy playing video games. Like, you know, I think video games are fun. The thing that was interesting to me about this game was, I guess it didn't feel like, because it's not a like linear story kind of game, it was really interesting to see how narrative and how story and how character building could play a role in this game and where it could really strengthen it.
When it came to making those choices about where to kind of focus your attention more, what were the main like deciding factors of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that Jevin and I really chatted about most is that we really like base building games. We really like playing in this sort of in this kind of genre, but a thing that's often missing from this genre is the sense of like who the people are in my colony or in my team, particularly when we're going with something where it's going to be procedurally generated. We're not going to have like totally authored characters who are like, you know, the way that you could write like a really cool NPC. We knew that it was going to be something where they'd be rolling up every time. And so how could we, in both a really economical way and a way that was going to, you know, not be pages and pages and pages and pages of code, give these characters really clear personalities and voices, but also make them different each time. The building block for Adaptory's characters, they've got 9 kind of core personality types. I would sort of say that's their like main sort of baseline character voice. But then there's also like a range of different like homeland places that they can come from that affect kind of their cultural references, and then also additional like skill sets and traits and things, and how those kind of all interplay together so that you get a sense that like this guy is a particular guy that I have feelings about and I want him to survive.
You have mentioned the fact that every explorer kind of has like a hometown canonically, and that changes the kind of person they are. And as a person that knows how much you love to write big expansive worlds, how much of the lore of this game behind the scenes are we not even seeing?
There are 5 hometowns, 5 homelands that you can get currently in the game. I've chosen a very specific small amount of a much larger lore. I went through Wikipedia and went to like each year of Earth history, things that happened in Earth in like year 0, 0 CE, like year 100, year 200, just like big milestones, so that where Adaptory is set is like kind of 21, 2120 sort of.
Yeah.
But in the world of Terra, I then went through and did the parallel history for Terra, which is the Earth-like planet that all of these explorers come from, using those kind of bullet points of Earth to sort of create like an ongoing parallel history. Was thinking about countries and like continents and religious movements and civilizational clash and like wars and various kinds of things like that, and went all the way to the modern day, and then also a few more years into the future. So there is this like much wider world. Somewhere I have like a little map that I drew of like the planet. I always get kind of bored when it's like lazy world building where it's just like another country that's basically France, or like another country that's basically China. I was trying to like see how we could make them different. Uvia, for example, is like a series of island states that form like a one big nation. Though like maybe environmentally it's very Pacific Island inspired, like their kind of history and culture is very different. And that's just lore. And I'm like, lore is not story. Lore is just purely background kind of working research. But it was really like fun and helpful for me to get a sense of this parallel world where the explorers were coming from. And the thing that's interesting about Adaptory, of course, is that like the parallel world is like not even something we see because we're not on Terra.
It definitely makes the explorers feel like more well-rounded people when you see them giving anecdotes about like the latest sports team or their favorite book from like back home, or talking about temples with headdresses and things. There's more to them in their past than when you see them immediately on screen in the game, which is great because it does really contribute to that, making them feel more like people that you are trying to help survive.
Lore that comes up a lot in the game is like IC shows up a lot, which is the International Space Exploration Agency. There's a lot of references to IC and that these guys may have gotten, a job via the IC lottery and get randomly selected to come on these like new planet things, which is why we've got this group that maybe are not all like, they're not all experts, they're not like all the greatest explorers ever.
When you're working through those interactions between different explorers, have you come across any situations where you've thought of an unexpected sort of interaction result from things?
I think where the all of these different types of characters really come to the fore is when they like interact with each other. Basically, I think of it as like 2-line scenes in a little play. You can develop character, at least in my experience as a playwright, through interaction. And sometimes those can go different ways than you might expect, which can be really fun. Each of them have like various different conversation topics that they might talk about, but depending on the personality type of the person they're talking to, they're going to get different responses. What's your greatest fear is one of the random questions that I think one of the explorer types asks, and you've got the challenger, who is our very sort of gruff guy, does admit that they are afraid of clowns. The investigator is afraid that they are all living in a simulation, which unfortunately for these guys is true. They also have diary entries where you can sort of like pop in and see like what they're doing on a personal level. We are looking at how tolerant people are of each other as well, like which characters can be more annoying to each other, which characters are starting to get a mood debuff because this person's such a downer all the time. Trying to keep everybody, tolerating each other at least in an environment where they are kind of getting on is actually an essential part of survival. Like it is part of the gameplay as well, and we want to make that more and more part of the gameplay.
I imagine you also did the writing for Charlie's line, or text at least.
Our little computer assistant, the computational holographic assistant. We were trying to strike a mode where we want them to be like friendly and personable and cute and more of an assistant character rather than like an essential kind of main character along with the others. Friendly guide that you wouldn't mind referring to. I mean, I think a lot of Care's illustrations definitely do a lot to help us give Charlie a little bit of personality. They're a futuristic technology, which means that they have the ability to, reflect on how things are different for them as a computer to how they are for the rest of the world, and have a little bit of an existentialism as a computer.
Is there anything else in particular about like working on Adaptory that kind of sticks out to you over the course of the amount of time that you've been working as part of the team?
So many of our conversations with Jivan and I end up getting so blue sky. We end up having these really grand ideas about things that we really want to do, and it's like, those are all going to be coming later. So I think that's a really fun thing about working on it, is that I write ideas or like come up with things things, and then like maybe weeks, maybe months, or however long later, finally getting to see it in the game is super, super exciting. It's like, cool, like it's it really feels like sending off the little paper boats and finding them coming back to me a little bit later.
Wonderful. Well, I don't have any other big questions for you, but I do have a bunch of quickfire questions if you are ready for a very not scary quickfire round.
Fabulous.
Question 1. In terms of gaming, controller or mouse and keyboard?
Mouse and keyboard. I'm really annoyed because I lost my mouse this morning. I don't know where I've gone, so that wouldn't be bugging me as much if I were a controller person.
Question 2 that you might recognize. What is your favorite mineral?
My favorite mineral, I was thinking about this. It's difficult to say. I don't know if I've come across that many minerals in my time. I really love the look of opal. Opal is very beautiful.
Question 3. Please explain your job to people that don't understand gaming at all.
I write the words.
Perfect. Question 4. If you could only take one personal belonging to space, what would it be?
Medical equipment, honestly.
So fair.
I'm type 1 diabetic. I'm kind of a cyborg. I rely on a lot of like medical equipment to stay alive. I feel like I would probably immediately die anyway in a space situation, but that's what I would take.
Question 5. What is the best thing that gravity does?
The fact that you can go to the bathroom. I remember reading a thing about astronauts going, like, using the toilet in space, and like, it's just a horror that has never occurred to me before. So I'm really glad we don't have to deal with that.
Question 6. If you woke up tomorrow on a planetoid somewhere in space, what is the first thing you would do?
I would be asking Charlie for help. I would be very reliant on my technology. I would be getting in there before I left any type of artificial atmosphere. I would be doing a lot of computational research before I got out of the hatch. I'd be flipping through that IC guidebook. I'd be putting little tabs on every page.
Question 7, and feel free to take your time on this one, but please tell me a secret about working on Adaptory that only I will hear and the audience will know how juicy of a secret is based on my facial expression. Absolutely the cattiest secret we've had so far, and I love it. Well, Cass, thank you so much for coming and chatting with me about all the wonderful things that you do as part of the Adaptory team. I can't wait to see all of the blue sky ideas that we get to progress with.
Cooking is coming.
Oh my god, I don't know if that's a secret we're
Cooking
allowed
is
to
coming.
tell.
I have so many I have so many recipes written on a document. As soon as we're ready, cooking is coming, and so exciting.
So many plans. Thanks so much for chatting, and thank you, explorers, for tuning in. Make sure that you check out Adaptory Early Access. We shall see you next time. Ka kite, explorers!
Ka kite, bye!